It's the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Welcome to the Zone weekend coverage from the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Of course, it is our mission to try to bring you some news that you can use each and every day. Today will be no exception to the rule. You can follow me on X at the Mike Prince Show. The YouTube channel is the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Don't forget to drop in on our website at obnradio.com to check out our 24-hour stream full of content that you may or may not have heard. The only way you can find out, you got to go there and check it out, obnradio.com. With all that being established, let's jump right into today's episode. We are on the countdown for SWAC Championship, December 2nd, 3 p.m. Central Time from Tallahassee, Florida. FAMU Rattlers hosting the Prairie View A&M University Panthers. Should be a very intriguing contest, much different than the first time that they met on October 28th at 45-7. Final score for the Rattlers over the Panthers. Got a chance to talk with Coach Willie Simmons over the weekend and the holiday break, and you'll get a chance to check him out on Monday morning. Hear how he is analyzing and summarizing not only World from FAMU, but World from the Southwestern Athletic Conference. Very intriguing conversation as always whenever Coach Simmons and I get together. We know that the last two teams standing in the Southwestern Athletic Conference are FAMU and Prairie View. Representing the Mideastern Athletic Conference will be the Howard Bison. They surpass everyone else within their conference to represent in the Celebration Bowl. It's going to be a very intriguing matchup one way or the other. I am on record for stating, and I won't back down from it, I know that the TV execs that will be producing the Celebration Bowl are all in favor of a FAMU Howard Bison setting. And it's just simply the way it is as far as numbers and dollars and cents go. Nothing personal. It's just a matter of doing business. But I am really hoping that Prairie View will be able to disrupt the expected plans and make this something magical and special. We'll get a chance to talk with Coach Bubba McDowell and the rest of his crew leading up to kickoff on December the 2nd. We know that with the all eyes on the SWAC Championship from Tallahassee, there are some new openings through the coaching ranks of the Southwestern Athletic Conference. The latest was on the head coaching circuit. Of course, Clarence McKinney of Texas Southern not being renewed to lead the Tigers, and Eric Dooley being relieved 2 years in the middle of a 4-year deal from the Southern Jags. We do know when it comes to another, let's say, prestige opening, you have the South Carolina State with Coach Buddy Pugh retiring. So you have 3 openings on that head coaching circuit. We did get some news that there's been a changing of hand at Alcorn when it comes to special teams coordinator and offensive coordinator. So we'll see what Coach Fred McNair is going to be up to. And if you really listen to the whispers throughout the conference, there's talk that there's a little unsettledness with Coach McNair from Brave Nation. We'll continue to keep an eye on that. So if we focus on the head coaching positions, who would be available? Who will be willing to sit in those vacant chairs to try their stab at it? And of course, hot name right now on top of everyone's number one go-get-em list is Coach Berry from Benedict College, having an outstanding year. He does have some Southern University ties. Don't know if he would be the guy to want to take over at Southern University. You never can tell what's going on beneath any of these scenes and behind the scenes. What's going on at Benedict, what's going on at Southern, what's going on at Texas Southern, what's going on at Alcorn, and for all of them for that matter. Will he be a fit? Will Coach Dooley be a fit for Texas Southern or South Carolina State? You never can tell. Now, you can say what you want to say. Coach Dooley has been labeled as being somewhat stubborn and set in his ways. But, I guess when people say, if I've had success doing it this way, let me do it the way I'm accustomed to doing it. And if you're patient with me, you'll get the results that you hired me for. He had success at University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff, had success at Grambling, had success at Prairie View, had success even at Southern University. He did get them to the championship game. Not really sure what all went behind the scenes. One says this, the other says that. The bottom line is the deal has happened and both parties will have to move forward. So you have other sleepers who could possibly be coming in. Another name that is being mentioned as a possible replacement at Texas Southern would be active interim coach right now, Terrence Graves of the Southern University Jags. Never can tell. And don't forget, on that same Jags coaching staff, you have the likes of Willie Totten. And, of course, he has head coaching experience, athletic director experience, and overall success as a player from Mississippi Valley. So there are so many potentials and possibilities of what could happen in the world of football. And we'll keep you posted right here as each of these stories develop. As we're talking about football, do want to remind you that we will be carrying the audio version of the SWAC Championship right here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Be sure to join in with us at 3 p.m. Central Time will be that kickoff. And, of course, you can join by going to the website, obnradio.com, and click on the Listen Live link. Or if you happen to be on the go, you can always dial 857-777-0000. Of course, basketball season has gotten started, and it's been some great defeats from SWAC Nation to the rest of the nation. You had Southern victorious over UNLV, Jackson State victorious over Mizzou, Prairie View with their win over Eastern Kentucky, and the hits just keep right on coming. SWAC basketball is definitely in the air and can't wait to see how the season unfolds. Of course, we'll speak with our basketball guru, Coach Van Pettaway, weekly to get the breakdown of the X's and O's behind the scenes of some managerial decisions made or not made. Can't wait to hear how he'll break that down throughout the course of the entire season. We can't forget that the women are just as involved as the men. We'll have some selected games for Prairie View basketball and SWAC basketball coverage throughout the basketball season here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. With all of the movements that are being made behind the scene, in front line, had me wondering and pondering. I know that there is a lot of moving and fence watching, stretching your neck, seeing what the other people are doing. And the reality is, in the FCS landscape of things, and if you even break it down further to the HBCU landscape of things, we are in an entirely different realm. And it's not a bad thing, nor is it a good thing. But the reality is we have to operate in modes that are creative to some and normal to others. And by that, I'm simply saying, yes, money is flowing in athletics, but it's not flowing as it should be flowing on the FCS HBCU level. But the underlying is this: college athletics is designed not to make money. They are labeled as nonprofit institutions, and under the NCAA guidance, they are considered nonprofit entities. So therefore, you're going to have very limited resources that one would need, and I'm using that term very, very loosely, that one would need for a successful overall athletic program, not just hit and miss here and there. And so the dollars are there, and we look at in amazement just at the athletic budgets for the Southwestern Athletic Conference, they scale from $15 million down as low as $4 million for the said programs. And if you think that's a vast difference, go up not all the way to the Power Fives, or should we say Power Four these days, but even at your FBS General or the Group 5 FBS programs, the budgets are night and day. And the only way that you can circumvent this on the FCS level is simply by this. There's going to have to be a budget. There's going to have to be a ceiling cap. You can't continue to allow the wild, wild west mentality when it comes to programs, because you're going to always have the haves and the have-nots. We've seen that beyond a shadow of a doubt on the Power 5 level. But how do you bring back the purity of college sports? Or is it too late? Is the cat out of the bag and it's not going to ever go back to that land of being pure spirit of competition and healthy bantering for, school pride? Or has it strictly become about the bottom dollar? And when you look at it from that standpoint, probably the most pure level of college athletics would have to be Division III. Division III offers no scholarships, and guys and young ladies are competing strictly for the spirit of competition. They want to compete on the collegiate level. They are competing on the collegiate level, and they're maintaining of the grades. And I've been on record for saying sometimes it appears that my beloved Panthers have a D3 approach in a D1 frame set. And depending on who you are and how you're looking at it, you'll agree one way or the other with that statement. Now, when it comes to balancing out that spirit of competition on the FCS level, from my viewpoint, you're going to have to set salary caps for your head coaches, and you're going to have to be able to spread the love. Now, we know that we're in a capitalist society, and get all you can while you can. But then in the reality of things, we cannot operate as if we have a $100 million budget. We have to take whatever our budgets will allow us, and hopefully you can find individuals who are willing to execute and operate with success with the budget allowed. Now, you can't have too many extremes on the point of pay when it comes. Let's just talk about football, since we're in football season. When you have a head coach, and I'm just using this as a round number, so don't jump out of your skin if you're listening to this right now. If your head football coach is making $100,000, you cannot have your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator making $55,000. They're going to have to be somewhere in the neighborhood of maybe $75,000 to even $85,000 of the $100,000 that your head coach is making. Why is that? Because it creates a balance. It can help you stretch your budgets out yet a little while further, and along the way to be able to accomplish some of the things that you need for an overall successful program. Because yes, you have a head coach, you have an offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and you have probably 10 more coaches that fall underneath those jurisdictions. And those guys have to be paid in a perfect storm. If you're top, and once again, these are round numbers just for clarity. If your head coach is at $100,000, your OCs and DCs are at $75,000, maybe your coaches will be in that 45 to 55 range to complete and balance out your staff. That way you can get guys who are going to be motivated enough and be able to keep enough fire and creativity going around and teaching their skill sets and their positions to advance up the food chain. And let's be honest, once you hit a certain plateau in this FCS market, you can only go so far unless you get some type of super mega side deal that will overcompensate and help you bridge that gap of what you desire versus what is allowed to be paid to you by the said institutions. Because where else is the money going to come from? They're already draining student dollars with the student fees assessments. And the problem, bottom line, is this: there are no sales, whether it be sponsorships, underwriters, naming rights for stadiums, naming rights for fields. There are no outside major hitting sales that can compensate other than the old-fashioned guaranteed gains. And with the way everything is shaping up right now, that is going to be something in the very distant past. It is not going to be that easily accessible to go and schedule a game with a D1 Power 5 program, pick up $500,000, and you can take care of and do whatever you need to do without the rest of your programming. And when it comes to your non-revenue sports, such as the baseballs and the softballs, I do have a remedy for the baseball, softball. I'll hit on that in just a moment. Somehow, some way, these non-profit, or not non-profit, but non-revenue sports are going to have to be a bit creative. Not saying that they're not being creative, but stepping outside of the box to help offset some of the expenses. For example, with baseball, and I'm referring this to my beloved Prairie View. You have beautiful baseball facilities, but you're playing midweek games when people are working. And I know for years there's been a concern about the lights at the stadium, John Tankersley Stadium on the campus of Prairie View. And that has been an issue that could have been, more than likely should have been addressed by now, because this didn't just happen yesterday. But if you can get it where you have those Tuesday evening games, where you have Friday night games and things of that nature, even a Saturday night game followed up with a Sunday midday game, to help draw community baseball fans and sports fans to come and be a part of the programs that are offered, not only at Prairie View, but at all of our Southwestern Athletic Conference, brother and sister campuses, and other FCS campuses. You're going to have to be able to engage that community to want to be a part of something and let them be known that, hey, this is available, that is available. And I know that everyone is all about the social media, the I almost said tweets, but the Xing, the posting, the Instagram, the Facebooks, and the Snapchats, and what's that other one called? I can't even think of it right now, but you know what I'm talking about. All these social platforms that are available, and those are wonderful, but everyone does not interact through social media. You have to go to some of the old proven tactics that'll help engage your potential sponsors and season ticket holders. Direct mail. You have flyers, business cards, a lot of what would be considered old school, antiquated approaches, but they're still effective approaches. Even letters with the direct mail, postcards with the schedule or events coming up in the athletic department, all sort of little things that can come. And whatever happened to a simple phone call? We have all this data. We have all of this stuff. You can invest in a robocall system, a phone blast system, and drop a 30-second message updating, reminding season ticket sales, reminding scheduled events on the campus, even reminding road events and just how to stay engaged. The websites are wonderful. Everyone doesn't go to the websites to gather the information. Even when you are putting out your email letters, all that is fine, but there are still a vast majority of people who would rather not get and go those approaches, but still want to be informed, still want to know what's happening, how they can support their beloved institutions. So I think it's something that needs to be reassessed, and it's something that's fixable, but you have to want to fix it, and you have to be able to go beyond the normal way or the easy way of doing things. And then on the flip side of that, administrators are going, well, why should we go through all of these changes and adjustments when it appears, and I'm using air quotes on that the fan base doesn't even care. They don't show up. They're not participating when they do show up. The atmosphere is not that of pageantry. It's not that of the spirit of competition. It's observe, criticize, go home. What will it take, or is it to the point of no return that the fans just don't really care anymore, or not as often as they used to, or they're using excuses? There are so many other distractions right now that we have to compete with. And I agree to a degree, and I'm going to disagree to a degree. When you have the opportunity to enjoy the full embodiment of college life, it includes going to sporting events, social events. Sometimes it includes just hanging out and being carefree and just enjoying they say the freedom of being alive. And I get all of that. But at some point, there has to be a conscious effort of actually caring, showing up. And I'm going back to this final regular season game on the campus of Prairie View. Senior day, win or lose situation that your season will end today or be extended today. And the attendance, originally reported 1,350 in attendance. And I say that was generous. Then you had some numbers adjusted to 6,200. Okay? And that is obviously way generous. And even if that was the case, the stadium capacity on the campus of Prairie View is 15,000 people. Prime example. And like I said, I'm not going to be stretching my neck and getting bent out of shape over it, but it is what it is. FAMU is already sold out for this December 2nd game hosting Prairie View. Sold out. I think it's a 20,000, 22,000 seat capacity stadium. Sold out. So when you look at that, going back to the statement that we made about this past week, that the TV execs, they want to see FAMU get there. Because if the truth be told, Howard, wonderful institution. Prairie View, I believe that's a wonderful institution. But as far as a drawing power with butts in the seat, Prairie View and Howard are terrible. And the numbers indicate that. So for saving grace for the TV execs, they want FAMU there. Because the more people that come in, the more people that view, the more money they make, the more money they can make by selling more ads to their advertisers and all the other mechanisms that turn that money wheel around. So that's not the TV exec's fault. That's not them hating on Howard or Prairie View. That is just Howard and Prairie View not stepping their game up. And I was hearing cliches for many, many years that football is about tackling, it's about running, it's about throwing, it's about catching, and it's about culture. And when you look at the culture aspect, the word culture has been thrown around so loose and so freely that it's become numb. And then when you really understand culture, can we just accept the culture for what it is and where it is according to the numbers? And the culture says that no matter how much you win, no matter how much you try to get us to come out, we're not coming out unless it's homecoming, unless it's a classic. Other than that, don't waste your time. Don't waste your money. We're not coming. So as an administrator, how do you respond to that? You got to keep trying, right? Because if you're not trying, then you're stealing money sitting in the administrator's chair by not trying to figure this out. But after a while, you say, hey, I tried this, I tried that. They don't want to come. Oh, well, keep the checks coming. There has to be some breaking ground somewhere. And when we talk back to this culture, are we really fans or are we truly supporters? Now, depending on which side of the spectrum you're on in this category, fans are, in my opinion, casual. Supporters are hardcore. And from the looks of the numbers, my beloved Panthers have a very good fan base, a loyal support base, but the support base needs to be beefed up. Some of those fans need to become supporters. And think about it from this term. The culture that we talk about kind of feeds itself and breeds itself. If you're not coming out to support today's student athlete who will eventually and hopefully one day become alumni, then they kind of regurgitate what was given back to them, right? Well, they didn't come when we played, so why should I break my neck to do what has happened? If we go back and focus in on the Prairie View case alone, I survived during the 0-88 era. It was very challenging. It was something that you dealt with, not realizing the impact that it would have some 30, 40 years down the road. But when you go through the true rediscovering of who you are as far as an athletic program at this beloved institution that we call Prairie View A&M University, there were so many gaps and so many different and low expectations that the culture was, oh well, it'll do what it'll do. And so now that we fast forward and those same people from the 80s, early 90s are now parents of kids that are attending Prairie View. So these kids are reliving and feeding off what their parents have given them because that's all they had. So now you have to almost hopefully with the current, and this is I just Generation Z, that you got to hope that Z can finally grab this thing by the horns and redirect and reestablish the culture that we're so desperately trying to adjust. But the culture is there. How are we going to fix it? How can we get through it? We take great pride, and deservedly so. It's about graduation. Let's not get it twisted. But in Prairie View's case, it was just, oh, well, they tried. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that. But in the case of football, Prairie View A&M University football program under Coach Eric Dooley and now current Coach Bubba McDowell have been in the Southwestern Athletic Conference Championship game the last 2 out of 3 years. And the attendance is reflecting as if we're back in the 80s. And that is just totally baffling to me. When you look at the amenities and the facilities on the campus of Prairie View A&M University, it is absolutely baffling to me. And if I guess couldn't come up with a better term, it would appear that Prairie View is fool's gold. What do I mean when I say fool's gold? Oh, it looks great. Eye candy, the budgets compared to SWAC school budgets, everything is right where you hear people all the time, man, if I was at Prairie View, if I had what I had there at Prairie View, man, I could do this, I could do that. Until you get here and you see some of the disorderly operations, and not saying that Prairie View is the only one with a disorderly operation. I know there are nightmares at every campus, but I didn't graduate from every other SWAC school. I graduated from Prairie View. I support all SWAC programs, but I'm invested in Prairie View. And I am focused on the theory that charity begins at home. And you can rotate administrative teams, at least on surface wise. Then you have to go externally as well as internally when you're talking about changing a culture. You have to be able to look everything and count everything for what it actually is. Because what it is and what you want it to be sometimes will be like night and day, and those paths have crossed and gone to never meet again. So at some point, you have to make the necessary adjustments and say, let's get it started. But those are some things that are going to take some hard in the mirror conversations, looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, who am I? What am I doing? And am I doing it to the best of my ability? And that comes from administrative teams, that come from student body, that come from alumni base, and that come from the actual student athletes. So the bottom line is, as much as we love our HBCUs, as much as we are supportive of everything that makes an HBCU, we still have some work to be done. And we can't go on in a do it like they're doing. We have to tap into our uniqueness, tap into our greatness, tap into what makes us the diamonds in the rough, if you want to use that term, of becoming blossoming, shining gems. But until all that comes to surface, we'll have what we have. And in spite of what might seem like negative commentary coming from me at this point, I still love my HBCUs, and I'm dedicated to do all I can while I can to tell that story, to change the narrative, and to promote each and every institution that is connected through the bloodline of HBCU. I put emphasis on the Southwestern Athletic Conference because I am a SWAC product. I've said it all the time that SWAC has impacted and changed my life forever, and I'll forever be grateful and indebted. That's why we do what we do each and every day. But when I tell you that I am concerned and connected to every HBCU, regardless of the size, regardless of the location, regardless of the budget, I am for HBCU. And I think that when we put it all together, we can continue to thrive beyond the mark of excellence and create a thing of perfection. Well, enough of all that. We still got some great spirit of competitions coming up in the world of athletics, and it's going to be our mission to keep you informed with all the basketball and the championship games and the baseball games coming up, softball games coming up, and bowling is in the atmosphere. Of course, bowling got started back in October, and they're getting right into the thick of things, and got to give acknowledgement to Coach Glenn White and the Prairie View Bowling Program. Very consistent, steady championship program, I might add. And I can't help but acknowledge of the dynamic job that Coach Chelsea Lindsay, not Chelsea, but Sherry Lindsay created in her first year of existence as the head volleyball coach at Prairie View A&M University. Yeah, they fell short in the tournament, but to take that program and turn it around as quick as she did, you have to give her some credit and have to give credit to the student athletes with the buy-in, and can't wait to see how further along she can get with the continuous guidance and leadership that she's providing for the Prairie View volleyball program. I got to get ready to get out of here. It is Thanksgiving weekend. I still got some turkey to rediscover. I thank you guys so much for joining in with us here at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. We definitely do not take any of you for granted. I want to encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. Hit that bell notification, and every time we release any breaking stories, reports, games, you can always check it out at the Open Mic Broadcast Network. When you click that bell notification, it'll give you a little email. Say, hey, this has just been released by the Open Mic. Take it, share, and like our videos, like our comments, or like our commentary and comment on the commentary. Whatever is going to take fit to help spread this love around. You can follow me on X at The Mike Prince Show. And do remember to join in on our live stream and 24-hour stream at the website, obnradio.com. I am the radio guy, Dr. Mike Prince. Thank you again for joining in with us. And until the next time, you guys be blessed, and we'll see you on the other side.